Hello everybody, we are here joined with NCA and Scottinada as usual. What it has been like 3+ tier lists so far with this crew. And we are starting the March of the Machine set review for limited. Mainly draft, obviously, because you're not really picking cards in sealed, you just get them and do your best with what you get. Anyways, you guys want to say something before we begin? Okay, nice.
Lolo's really late today.
How was I late?
True. Lola was late, yeah.
I mean, we said we started, you said that we started at 30 minutes ago, and that was 30 minutes ago, so you're late.
How was I late?
It's 30 minutes after you said that you would start, so you're late.
I literally didn't say that, because what I said is we start until exactly now, because that's what NCA said, because he was traveling. Why are you fucking with me again?
I don't know. It's on your Twitter. It's literally in written form.
And you can't blame us for your Twitter posts. So you're late.
Oh, fuck off. Anyways, whatever. I'm just not even gonna give it anything. Nobody's to blame. Like NCA said when he was gonna arrive, and he arrived at a good time. He arrived, what, like, I don't know, 10 minutes ago or something, 15 minutes when he was ready, and that was expected. That was like, we thought it was maybe gonna be like even later, but today he said he was gonna arrive at this time.
I did say I was gonna arrive like earlier, but then traffic in Helsinki.
Shit. Oh, I didn't write the good headline. Just 1 second. Anyways,
why can I hear myself twice?
I have muted myself there. Or do you have the stream open maybe?
Yes, but I have the stream muted.
I got no idea. You can check where that's coming from. I cannot hear myself twice, so...
Oh, it's probably your speakers.
Did you hear yourself twice now?
Yes. No, not anymore. Now it's fine. Okay. Good.
Right. I turned down the speakers, maybe that was it. I need to change the headline, and can one of you like quickly go run through the grades? Scotty, you love that.
Yeah, sure. I'll just read it.
That's the enthusiasm.
A through F, letter grading, except E is absent for some reason. A, best cards in the format, bombs, completely changes the game in your favor, will almost single-handedly win you the game. B, these cards are amazing. Efficient removal, overstated creatures, powerful mana sinks, anything that is above the curve for its mana cost. C, cards that are fine on curve. You're not very excited to play them, but not sad to play them either. Most your deck will probably consist of the cards in this rank. Sometimes cards in this rank will not make the cut for the final deck. D, ranges from medium to bad filler. Cards in this tier get cut a lot and require specific deck to be good playables. If your deck really needs a 2-drop, if you have specific synergy with the card, or the card fills a weakness the deck has, for example. Most of the time, these will be the cards you just throw in because you're low on playables. And then Fs are unplayable. We also give sealing/in-color grades when there's like a big delta between like a card quality in one deck or another, and then a sideboard check if it's particularly good out of the sideboard. And then we're going to be spending the next 20 hours arguing about what these letters mean with each other, and not really understanding what any of it. There we go.
Now let's have a little comment on that. Last time we didn't argue about the grades.
Last time was pretty fast, but
yeah.
Let's not get our hopes up. You know?
Last time it was fast, plus we didn't argue about the grades.
Yeah, but we do have a new card type in this.
The set is so chunky. This is gonna take 25 hours.
No, I'm calling it like 15 or less, like maximum 15.
There's no way. I'll take the over on that easy.
Scotty, did you do the bingo board or did you just skip it?
I didn't do any bingo.
Okay.
No. Okay, well, let's leave it with a colorless, because every deck can, play the colorless cards. So let's start with that. And, Scotty, can you start, since you're having so much fun reading, can you start with the colorless? There's not a lot of them.
Yeah, I love reading. No, I'm just kidding. Let's talk about Flywheel Racer. Flywheel Racer is 2 mana for an artifact vehicle. It's a 3/2 with vigilance, and you can tap to add 1 mana of any color. Activate only if Flywheel Racer is a creature. It has crew 1. Really interesting, actually. So the creature stats, or sorry, the vehicle stats on this is like very unimpressive on its own, right? Like a 3/2 vigilance for 2 mana that you have to crew is not particularly good with vehicles in general. If you haven't played with or evaluated that many vehicles, like the stats may look good if it was a creature, but the fact you have to crew it like significantly weakens it. And 3/2 vigilance that will just trade off with pretty much anything is not particularly impressive. But evaluating the mana ability of this allows you to fix with sort of any other creatures you have lying around as long as they have a point of a point of power, which is not bad. I don't think I'm particularly enthusiastic about putting this in your deck, and looking at the other types of fixing in the set, this isn't exactly how I want to be fixing things, but if you need to, like if you have particularly high power splashes, etc., then I don't think this is the end of the world if you put it in the deck. I think this is a D+ for me.
NCA?
Yeah, I was. For some reason, you were really loud for me. I changed up. Okay. Yeah, I agree. This looks kind of clunky. It's not Sentinel or Stalwart, even though it reminds you of those kind of cards. You do need like one other creature, and you can add a mana, but you are tapping this, and then you're. Well, I guess that's the same. Well. Anyway, this isn't a real creature, it's a vehicle. I guess you can attack, and then use your mana. I don't know, this looks kind of clunky. 2 mana is way more than 1 mana, and it kind of does the same thing as the Sentinel and Stalwart things. I agree with D+. I think it's okay fixing if you have a bunch of creatures and you need fixing.
What do you give it a D+, same?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm okay with a D+. Like, I would like to be surprised with this card, but I don't really see it surprising us. Like, it's the Stalwart is a whole different beast. Like, it's
also vehicles are kind of not synergistic at all with Convoke, because then you have to tap one of your creatures and you can't tap it for Convoke if you have some Convoke stuff.
Yeah, that as well. And like when you have the Stalwart is a 1 mana 1/1. It seems like, oh, it's so much weaker, but and when you do tap this for mana, it's basically kind of the same as tapping the Stalwart, but Stalwart can also use the artifacts, and it is a creature right there. Like, you have 5 Stalwarts, they're gonna work with each other. You have 5 of these, they don't work with nothing. There is no synergy between that. The more you have, the worse they get. So I don't know, not a huge fan. I'm just gonna give it a D+ as well, because it's kind of serviceable. But
yeah, it's not bad fixing. It's like fine fixing, but yeah.
I mean, this also just ramps you, right?
Yeah.
It, like, turns one of your dorky creatures into a ramp spell.
Yeah, I mean, it does ramp you. It does. It's 3/2, like, it trades with basically everything. I just don't like it. Like, you don't want to draft too many, and it's a common. Like, if you need it, you can get it. I hope I'm gonna be surprised. Like, there are some really good 1-drops, I think. So that might make it better in some decks, but I'm gonna start as a D+ as well.
I'm gonna go up to C-. I think the
Okay.
fact that it trades off after it's like done its mono work is actually not bad.
Yeah, I can see it, but I'll stay at D+. Yeah.
All right, Halo Hopper, 3 mana for an artifact creature frog. It's a 3/2 with Convoke. First time we're seeing Convoke. If you haven't played with Convoke before, it essentially means, well, I'm just going to read it. Your creature can help cast a spell. Each creature you tap while casting the spell pays for 1 or 1 mana of that creature's color. So, for example, if you have 3 creatures on the battlefield and no open mana, you can actually just tap those 3 creatures and put Halo Hopper onto the battlefield. Let's say Halo Hopper costs like 2 and a white. You could tap a white creature and then 2 colorless mana worth of lands, and then still play your Halo Hopper, etc., etc. Convoke is a cool mechanic. We'll see what the implications are as we like sort of delve through this set, but I'm not super impressed by Halo Hopper. Even if like you drop a 1-drop and then you can drop this on turn 2, it's like it's kind of doing work for a 3/2, which is not like a huge payoff. If you sort of curve out particularly early, like even a 1-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop, and then tap all your creatures to play Halo Hopper, I don't really see that as a super huge payoff. Overall, I can't really imagine any deck that's like, I'm really trying to imagine like the ceiling of this, right? Which is really to develop early creatures and then just get a huge extra boost in your board to then sort of overpower your opponent in the next following turns. But It still doesn't seem like a particularly strong way to do that, especially if you're like curving out. You have to take an entire turn off to like play your stupid 3/2 that will just trade with your opponent's 2-drop or anything for that matter. So I'm not really into it. I think this is a D.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I don't think it's that bad, but it's also like never good. Even if you have a bunch of tokens, it's like you still have to tap your attacking and blocking, or stuff could attack and block, and you get a 3/2. Even if you cast it for 0, it's kind of whatever. You have to tap 3 creatures and so on. And like the reward is never that good. And well, a 3-mana 3/2 is dog shit. I assume I'm gonna end up playing this some amount of time, but never is it gonna be exciting, probably. I wish it was. It's probably the coolest card in the set, but it isn't that exciting outside of the art and types. So I'll go D as well.
I mean, it's pretty cool. Like, you can, if you go 1, 2, 3 and then cast it for 0, that's a lot of things you have on the battlefield at one point. Like, if you do that, or maybe on turn 4, like what, you can play it, some creatures and play it. The biggest thing where I would like what I would compare this to is the Phalanx. Sure, Phalanx is 6 mana, right? From Brothers War? Yeah, that's what Phalanx was?
DM.
Or Dominaria United?
Maybe. I don't remember.
Dominaria United.
Dominaria United, okay. So, it was a 4/4, which is way bigger than this one. It didn't require tapping of your creatures, and it was fine. I mean, it was okay. We thought it was gonna be much better than what it was, but it still is like, it's 3 mana. The problem is that you're getting a small thing. I'm a bit higher than you guys. I don't know. I'm on a D+ or C-. Like, you can have some explosive turns with this, if you care about like getting out there on the board fast. And I think it's fine to miss out on some damage to do that, because, well, next turn you're gonna have a lot more.
Yeah, my point was that it's like fine to miss out on damage and the blocks, but it's like never gonna be great. Even if you go 1-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop this, it's not like, it's good then, but that's the best case scenario, and even then it's not that good.
And the thing is, like, once you do that perfect turn, it was because you got a free 3/2 on the battlefield, but it's always gonna be a 3/2, that's it. So, I mean, how bad is it really? Like, if you have, you can like even like play a 2-drop, and next turn you can play a 2-drop and this. You don't have to start with 1, 2, 3. Like, that's, I don't know. I'm gonna C-, man. I like this card. I don't think it's that great, but I think you hate it a bit too much. If I'm playing like a 2-drop into 2-drop plus this on turn 3, I'm kind of happy how my board is developing. What do you think about that, guys? Like, that kind of play?
The problem is that it's kind of like a 1-drop or a 2-drop, but you can't play it on turn 2 in a lot of cases.
It's not like a one. I mean, it can be a 1-mana 1-drop, right? That's what they say.
Yeah, or it can't be a 2-mana creature, except if you have a 1-drop.
Yeah.
But even then, it's like kind of bad, because you have to tap the 1-drop. I don't think this is ever gonna reach like a status where I want this card in my deck.
Oh yeah. I thought your arguments were pretty convincing, Lola. Yeah, there's gonna be some pretty explosive turns where you can just develop a lot of board presence. That's fine. Like the fail case of going 2-drop into 2-drop into this is that's like a pretty fine aggressive start.
Yeah, even though 2-drop doesn't attack once, it seems fine. Okay, well, I'm gonna start as a C-. Hope I'm correct, because it is a pretty interesting card. Like, we rarely get creatures that doesn't cost a lot of mana which have Convoke, so it's pretty interesting. You tap your stuff and don't do damage. I mean, your 2-drop a lot of times is not doing damage, it's just trading as well, so...
But it's still downside.
It is definitely a downside, but the thing is, like, if you play 2-drop into 2-drop and this, your 2-drop doesn't attack, but your 3/2 can attack next turn, so it kinda helps out with that, right? And it's gonna be hard for opponent to add that much mana on the battlefield like you did. I don't think this is like worth of 3... You can call this like adding 2 mana to the battlefield, right? If this was just 2 mana 3/2 vanilla creature, no Convoke, that would be pretty good. But it's not, right? You're not gonna be playing it on turn 2 if you have nothing else. So I think it's gonna be fine in aggressive decks. Did you change your grade, Scotty, because of the
Yeah, I upped it to D+.
D+? Alright. Sold.
Kitesail, 2 mana, artifact equipment. Equipped creature has +1/+0 and has flying. Has equip 2. So this can be the most important card in a matchup. And I think in most matchups, it's not particularly good. It's pretty much when you and your opponent have sort of even-sized creatures and you end up like stalling out a bunch, so you just really want something to force through, inevitability in the late game. You can just sort of chuck your largest creatures up into the sky, but it is pretty slow. As a curve topper for an aggressive deck, it's also not the worst in the world, but I think you can do much, much, much better in this set. Overall, this is a D+ for me.
Yeah, I don't. I hate this effect. There are like a couple times this effect has been okay, but generally it's pretty bad. And this is just the classic 2 mana. I could 2 +1/+0 and flying. I'm generally hoping to never run this in main. There might be a deck that wants this for some reason, but I'm skeptical. Honestly, I'm gonna start this either D- or D. I guess I'll go D. It's okay to put into some of your decks. I would hope not to ever. I'm gonna go D-. I think the card is bad.
Yeah.
Actively.
Yeah. I'm gonna go on a D- as well. I think Scotty has been affected by Brothers War. Because that's where you had...
I didn't even play that set.
Scotty has not been affected by Brothers War, is what I wanted to say. So, in Brothers War, we had Power Stone tokens, which made this cost like 1 mana and you can just get it in, or sometimes 0, but like 1 mana is kind of easy to get in. And then you have that one leftover Power Stone, and then you just have to pay 1 extra land, and it's just 1 land to put it on something. And you had Stalwarts, for example, which tapped artifacts for mana, so it was not the end of the world. Like you could have played it. If you can sneak these in and pay less than 2 for casting it, or pay less than 2 for equipping it, that's huge. Then it can work. But paying 2 + 2, that is 4 mana. You're adding basically no power and toughness to the board. You're making one of your creatures fly. Flying has been basically always the worst thing you can have on an equipment, which seems weird because flying is great on creatures. They are evasive, they attack. Perfect, opponent cannot block them without flyers or reach creatures. But we never get like toughness boost on flying equipment, and it always costs a lot. And then you're paying full 4 mana over 2 turns, doesn't matter, to make, well, people always think, oh, but I'm gonna make my huge thing attack. Well, that huge thing cannot block, and an opponent used that 4 mana for things that can attack and block, so they are probably racing you better, even though now you have a flyer. Sure, I think you can put it in some decks, it's gonna be probably nice in the sideboard, like this weird equipment, where you expect board stalls in a certain matchup, then you play them, but this card is basically always bad, so like,
One other thing that I think does bring this down a little bit in this set, that there are actual good equipment in this set, I think.
Yeah.
So, and the equipment does have decently heavy diminishing returns.
Yes. Yeah, I also really like some equipment that has much better cost line. And really good thing about equipment is when you can use them offensively and defensively, and when they don't cost a lot of mana, because you really are not putting another creature on the board. Even giving a +1/+1 to something, it does trade better. Maybe now it looks like a 2-drop is a 3-drop or something like that. And this doesn't really do it. You're not gonna re-equip it most of the time to block something. Maybe they have a lot of flyers, but it's like super contextual. You can't expect to get into that type of matchup a lot of times. And again, when we get to like +2/+2 with equipment, if it doesn't cost a lot, +2/+2 is huge. It makes any creature very powerful all of a sudden. Like, your 2-drops are really good 4-drops. Your 3-drops are really good 5-drops. That's like, and that's completely different league. Flying just doesn't cut it. It's not enough. You wanna makes you race better, but makes you race worse because you don't have that blocker and you spend that much mana. Okay, that's it for me about the card. D-.
Yeah, I'm sold on a D-. Phyrexian Archivist, 6. Artifact creature, Phyrexian Construct. It's a 4/5 with reach. You can pay 2 and tap it to put target card from a graveyard on the bottom of its owner's library. So we're talking about a Phyrexian version of Cogwork Archivist from Strixhaven. So at 6 mana, this is heckin' expensive. At a 4/5 with reach, this will stop most like sort of mid-game flyers. In fact, even most 5 mana flyers will stop cold in its tracks. So the sizing is actually like if you get this on the battlefield, it's actually somewhat impressive in terms of like how it can actually save you versus things that are trying to peck you in the air. But I'm pretty sure this is not a desirable card whatsoever. There's like no graveyard synergies at all that you really want to do with this. I guess you could technically hate out your opponent's graveyard if they have any sort of thing like that, but I don't think that'll come up that often. If you have to put this in your deck, like it has stats, right? But this extremely unexciting and expensive. This is a D for me.
Yeah, nothing really more to add, except I guess there are in every color land cyclers that are just like, I don't understand why you would ever need this as your top end. The land cyclers, well, they are better on stats and they also can cycle for lands. I'll go D minus.
Yeah, I don't think this. I think the stats are the worst thing, right? It's horrible, horrible. Like, I would not like this card for 5 mana, even though it's colorless artifact and has like 5 is way cheaper than 6. Even though it doesn't look like that. So D minus. I mean, it's not unplayable. I don't think I'm ever gonna play though, but
I'll surely put this into my deck once, but probably not more than
yeah.
once.
Like maybe pack 2, you switch one of your colors, middle pack 2 switch out from your second color. I don't know why that happens, but let's say it happened and you don't have a 23rd card. Alright, play this, I guess.
Skittering Surveyor, 3 mana, artifact creature, construct. It's a 1/2. When Skittering Surveyor enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a basic land, reveal it, put into your hand, then shuffle. Skittering Surveyor is gas. Helps you fix, helps you hit your 4th land drop. Now in this set can help you convoke even after it comes on the battlefield. Especially since this body isn't really doing much except assisting with double blocks otherwise. Lovely. I really am a huge fan of Skittering Surveyor. The one caveat in a format, I guess, is that if the format is hyper aggressive and you can't really afford to be paying 3 mana for 1/2 without getting run over, that gets really challenging. Another thing to consider in this set, we haven't really talked about it yet, but if you're choosing to tap 3 mana to develop a 1/2 in this stage of the game and your opponent's curving out and then drops a battle, that could be relatively costly. Although this could chump, until you hit your 4-drop into protecting the battle that they put down or whatever. So maybe that's not even the worst thing.
Or double block. Doesn't have bad stats for the effect for the double block.
What did you give it, Scotty?
I gave it a B-.
Oh, okay. Well, this is gonna be our first big grade difference, I guess. This card was pretty good in original Dominaria, though I do think it was pretty vastly overrated in Dominaria. Even there, I didn't personally think that it was more than a C+ max, but I was pretty happy to play it in most decks. Here, though, Limited has evolved, and this is probably still the best thing to use for fixing for one color. It's not really good at fixing for multiple colors, but it is good for fixing for one color. So if you're splashing something, this is probably the best way at common, at least, to fix for it. But outside of that, I'm not excited to play this. I'm not expecting to play this in any of my 2-color decks, which are probably most of my decks. Any might be overreaching, but like most of my 2-color decks at least. I'll go C-.
I'm lower than Scotty, but higher than NCA. I think this was really good in Dominaria. The old Dominaria. And by really good, I would say like probably B-. But Dominaria was slow as hell, especially if you drafted with like... If there was like 2 people that kind of understood the set and when to get into aggro, when to not. But a lot of the games played out super slowly. Like attackers were not the best. Blockers, every creature was like a 1/3 or something.
Yeah, I always drafted. I drafted only Cheskai, and I didn't take green card except if I opened Multani in original Dominaria. I think green was horrendous in that set.
I like green a lot, but the thing is, No set is that slow. Like Dominaria kind of a lot of times played out like sealed. Like even in your aggro decks, you had cards that were really bad at attacking. Like when you look at it from today's point of view, like those aggro decks, the creatures that you had, the early drops that you had, look like dog shit on the attacks. Right? You're playing a wizard deck, and then your 3 drops were like 2/3 and 3/2, and some of them had a little bit of text. That's about it. So I think that this set is going to be way more aggressive, and if you need fixing, I like this card a lot. If you don't, I don't think you include it in that many decks. So I'm going to be on a C or a C plus, depending. I'm going to start it as a... I mean, I like the card so much. It's so weird that then we see it again, and I don't care about it too much. You don't really care that much about artifacts. There's like blue-red that kind of sometimes cares about it, I guess.
I think
I'm gonna start
Surveyor
as a
will be a
C.
big deal.
I'm gonna start as a C. I don't think you're gonna really like care too much about this card if you don't need fixing. So, but if you do need fixing, it's great. So I'm gonna start as a C. It can go up depending on what your deck needs. It's not like auto include in every deck, for sure, for sure. Anything else to add, guys?
No.
I think Convoking is a big game.
Oh yeah, sure.
But you can walk on any creature for 3 mana.
Urn of
but no-
Godfire.
No, go ahead.
1 mana for an artifact. 2, add 1 mana of any color. 6, and tap. Sacrifice Urn of Godfire. Destroy target creature or enchantment. Extremely clunky. Catch all removal if you really, 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 really need it. Very clunky type of fixing if you really, really, really need it? Question mark, I guess. This is pretty much bad at doing everything. I don't really recall any specific synergies that would make me want to put this bad card in my deck. This is like a D-.
Yeah, the only thing I would add is if there is a multicolor deck in the format, I do think this is gonna be solid. Like I would rather have this than Surveyor, probably. If there is a multicolor deck, since this does fix for all of your colors. If there is a deck like that, and that's, well, we don't know. And even then, I would rather fix with lands, but you probably have to play some of these, and there's still one deck, and I'm not expecting any other deck to want this ever. But I'll start this as a D, I think.
Yeah, I'm also a little bit higher. Like 6 mana kill something is not the best. Like we had it's like Dominaria things, but they were so different. Like we had in Dominaria it was like what 1 mana and same, and then 7 mana to kill something, which was horrible.
This is the cheapest, this type of clunky, cheap cost to play and then expensive cost to kill something. This is the cheapest it's ever been.
I'm still on a D or a D, just a D. And I mean, I guess if you need it, you're gonna know that. And I don't think it deserves a good better grade, just because sometimes you might build a deck that oh, I need some fixing. I didn't get good fixing. Okay, let's take it. I'm gonna take this, and you're gonna just get
I think outside of multicolor, I think this is pretty much only playable if you're already like short on fixing and then you're short on removal. Like you kind of need both, but this doesn't do either one of them well. But if you need both, like I guess you can put it into your deck.
It's not the end of the world to run this, right? But you're never gonna be excited. I think you always get this if you need it. There is not that many artifact synergies in the set, so if you're gonna need it, you're gonna get it late. So even if you need it, you don't need to pick it highly. So just a D. Oh. Yeah, we're gonna read these cards, but they're gonna the battles are gonna be
Oh, you didn't fix them. Oh, wow.
tilted. No, then it's not like fixed. Then I gotta like swap everything around, and we could have done like only battles at one point, but yeah, we're just gonna read them for you.
You just
Am I gonna read this too?
You just have to tilt your head 90 degrees. I've done it plenty already, so
yeah, just easy.
Chat will get used to it. We'll maybe have to go to the doctor in a week or so, but that's fine.
NCA, you can read the rares. By the way, I was like, I was sure I messed up something, but there are no uncommons in Colorless.
There aren't. Yep.
They don't exist.
Okay, what the fuck? How do I read this myself? Okay. So this is the first instance of battle. It's a new card type in much of the machines. And it says, as a siege enters, choose an opponent to protect it. You and others can attack it. When it's defeated, exile it, then cast it transformed. And then it has defense counters. This has 4. Basically, you need to hit it for 4. It has kind of like 4 life, and then it transforms. It's kind of like loyalty counters on planeswalkers, but you need to hit them yourself. Anyway, when this enters it's 5 mana. When it enters the battlefield, exile target non-land permanent an opponent controls that isn't exactly 2 colors, and then it transforms into a 5/5 artifact creature construct. Whenever you cast a spell that's exactly 2 colors, look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may reveal a card that's exactly 2 colors from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. That's many 2 colors. A lot of 2 colors. I mean, it is a removal that transforms into a creature. Looks pretty good. I don't think it's insane by any means, even though it is. It's kind of similar to the black-green uncommon we'll get to later, but it's 5 mana and it's colorless. Basically, you get to kill something and then you transform it into a 5/5. There are more. Wait, maybe. Let me check something. Yeah, there are more multicolored things in this format than usual, because the transformed creatures do transform into double-colored stuff. So you can run into problems with this hitting stuff that you wanted to hit. But generally, you can still get something pretty good, and it's a removal. And then you get a creature. I'll give it a B to begin with, B+. I think I'm gonna start as a B.
Okay, I think we gotta have a little discussion since this is the first battle, right? So
Nah, it's fine.
okay, since this is the first battle, it's fine. So this is the first battle, right? So you need to deal damage to the battle instead of damage to the opponent, and it's not like you're dealing 4. You're usually dealing more, right? It's similar to like when you are attacking, let's say you're attacking a planeswalker that opponent has, right? You're not. It's not like your creatures are unblockable, and then you can be like, okay, 4 damage goes there, that's gonna go through. No, you usually need to get more attacks in, right? And then opponent doesn't block some because the battle is gonna die anyways. So now you didn't deal that damage to the opponent's face. Even when you have like perfect 4 damage, like flying, I don't know, and they have tapped out, they're tapped out, you're not dealing that damage to the face. So how many times can you do this is the biggest thing. Like if you do this 3 times, you missed out on like 20 damage to the opponent or something. So, because it's not just 4 + 4 + 4, unless you're dealing exactly that damage to the battle somehow.
Yeah, there is this weird thing, especially with the expensive battles, not necessarily cheap ones, where you are like, kind of, you have to choose whether you hit them or the battle. They can be like a 10 life or something that's pretty common, and it becomes pretty tough, like, to know which one to hit.
Yeah, it's gonna be really interesting to make that choice, because what we realized today, every single pack is gonna have 1 battle in it.
You realized, everyone else knew it already.
Oh, you little shit, you realized it after me.
No, I knew that.
I'm gonna copy paste all of our private conversations from now on Twitter. Stay tuned. Anyways,
it's not a bad idea. It's good content, to be fair.
that probably is, yeah. We're not gonna say why though. Anyways, so it kind of, from my perspective, okay. First, what NCA said, it's gonna be a big decision if you're hitting battles or if you're hitting opponent's face. How fast can you get to lethal? You might miss that opportunity for lethal. But then, I think when I look at it, it does look like you. Let's say you clear 3 battles. Let's say they all had 4. What is the defense counters on them? So that's like at least 12 damage that you missed on the opponent's face, but it's probably more. Let's say like 16 plus. So that's basically like you could have probably killed them. But the thing is, if your battles are basically always becoming creatures or something that affects the board, and while you're clearing those battles, you're adding to the board. So it might look like you're losing all the damage to face and not winning the game, but you are adding to the board, and maybe that amount of damage wouldn't exist without clearing some of those battles. So I don't think it's just like, oh, I cannot play any battle, I can play like one battle because clearing few means that I'm going to, I didn't win the game that I could have. Because like here, you get that 5-5, right? You deal, it does, this one for example is pretty good because you can always kill the opponent's creature. If you have lethal or something, maybe lethal over 2 turns, doesn't matter, you can go ahead and attack them. And you did pay 5 mana to kill something, it's not the end of the world. But if you want to get something on the board, you get a 5-5 vanilla creature, that's what you get. Which is a fine 5-drop, why not? It's gonna help you out. It can block as well. So it's not, with these battles, it's not like you're losing all of your blockers. You kind of get one. But yeah, this one like clears the way, so you can attack that battle more easily. So that's pretty huge.
This does have relatively low loyalty or defense compared to a lot of other expensive battles.
I guess when you go to rare and so on. So I like it a lot. Like I'd give this a B just because it does offer that flexibility, and sometimes people are just gonna be chomping as well against battles because they don't want that 5-5 to enter the battlefield, so it might kill more than one thing. So I'm super fine with this battle because even if you're never gonna clear it, it's fine. It's okay. You can just kill something. It's not bad to kill something for 5 mana. It's not perfect because it's sorcery speed.
I would like to add the like attacking battles. It is probably gonna be better to default to attacking battles because if you are like in a pretty even spot, you kind of get more ahead by attacking the battle. You do lose out on damage, but I think the worst case scenario, or like you're less likely to lose if you just attack the battles, if it's like close between attacking your opponent, attacking the battle. Obviously, if they are at full life, you have no fucking reason to ever attack the battle. But yeah, same. I think this could be higher as well, even than a B. But
yeah,
I like B as well.
I want a B+. I don't really imagine passing this for much, especially at the beginning of the draft. This is colorless, keeps you super open. And can really, it does a really good job of forcing your opponent into really awkward blocking situations in terms of clearing their probably best blocker. And then just being able to threaten. And like a 5-5 is nothing to sneeze at, especially if you get it immediately.
Yeah. And it's not too hard. It's not too hard to get immediately. It's only 4 defense. I'll join you at B+ actually. The fact that it's colorless is nice. There are probably gonna be like a couple uncommons I will pick over this, but it's like a very limited list probably.
I'm gonna go to B+ as well. Yeah, it's just like I also don't see myself picking much over this, and even if you waste that damage, you can get a 5-5 next turn, which is not a small thing. Like 5-5 is a fine 5-drop, vanilla 5-drop. So you kind of do get 2 for 1, even though you might heal your opponent. And one thing about battles that we didn't really mention is sometimes you don't attack the opponent's face because you need the blockers. But when you have battles, it works a bit differently. You can make an attack where you couldn't otherwise because you are getting the blocker back. And next turn you have more attackers and blockers. So that's one thing about battles. Like it's not like there are a lot of situations where you can't really attack with some of your creatures, but if you have a battle to clear, all of a sudden that attack might be possible because the attack creates a creature. Okay. Anything else to say about the battles, guys, for now?
I mean, there's a lot of effects on individual cards in terms of how, like especially cards that affect combat in terms of how they'll play out differently with battles, and especially cards that race that we'll have to talk about when we get to those cards, but nothing with battles specifically.
Yes. Okay, Realmbreaker, the invasion tree. 3 mana legendary artifact. Can't be bad. It's a 3 mana legendary artifact. Has to be good. Tap, target opponent mills 3 cards. Put a land card from their graveyard on the battlefield tapped under your control. It gains if this land would leave the battlefield. Exile it instead of putting it anywhere else. Okay, so basically for 2 and a tap, after paying the 3 originally, you get pretty likely a land. Okay. Then tap, sacrifice Realmbreaker, the invasion tree, search your library for any number of creator cards, put them on the battlefield, then shuffle. Busted card, F.
Yeah, like, what the fuck? That's it? Like, I don't know. I don't want to
You can't even fix with this because your opponent might just not have lands to fix for you.
Yeah, it's... I mean, you are milling them, but you're like paying 5 mana to get 1 land? What is that? Praetor cards? That you're not gonna have Praetors probably, even if you have a Praetor.
Yeah, even if you have something like a Praetor, you have to pay 10? Yeah, no thanks.
Okay, so... F. Just...
Millstone is a win condition.
Sure. F. Never. Now we get to the good stuff.
Or Sword of Once and Future. 3 mana equipment. It has an equip cost of 2. Equipped creature gets +2/+2 and has protection from blue and from black. When equipped creature deals combat damage to a player Surveil 2, then you may cast an instant or sorcery spell with mana value 2 or less from your graveyard without paying its mana cost. If that spell would be put into your graveyard, exile it instead. Last sword of the cycle, apparently.
Oh, it's the last one?
Yeah, apparently.
Oh.
I don't know. I think this card is fine. Looks considerably worse than the last swords we've seen, for limited at least. It still does give you access to free spells, kinda. Surveil 2. I know, I think this is a C. I don't find this particularly exciting, but I'll probably put it into my deck generally. C-. That's expensive.
I think this is great, even though it's not on par with basically every sword. I don't know, from limited perspective. I don't know, maybe I can't remember every single sword, but maybe this is the weakest one for limited. 3 mana is kind of a lot at first, but 2 mana for +2/+2 protection from blue-black is just that part is incredible. But you do gotta pay 5 mana first. Just 2 mana +2/+2. Like if this card was 2 mana, just +2/+2 and 2 mana to equip, I think it would be great. But it does cost 1 more. But protection blue-black is huge, and you get an extra effect like Surveil and cast an instant or sorcery, even if you have none, like sure, if you have some, great. If you don't, what can you do? There is convoking, so you might have you might be playing those. But yeah, this I'm just gonna give it. I'm not gonna give it a bomb grading just because the effect, besides +2/+2 pro blue-black, is not game breaking like a lot of them are. So this card is not even close to green-red one. I'm going to give it a B+. I mean, I can see it going to an A-, but I don't think it's ever going to be lower than a B+.
My thinking is that the green-red sword didn't end up more than a B or a B+, at least in my mind. I don't think this sword was a bomb in the last set even. Just because it has a pretty high fail case, or like a pretty bad fail case, and the sword did much more when it connected. I'll move up to a C, but I actually don't think this is going to be particularly.
But you are on a C already.
Yeah. Well, I moved to a C- and now I'm back to a C.
Okay. By the way, Phyrexians are colorless. The Phyrexian tokens. That's a little bit of a problem in this set. They are colorless, so you're not gonna have protection. A good amount of times, you are not gonna have protection from. Even if opponent is blue-black, they're probably gonna have some things that are not blue-black. Still, like I freaking love this card. Scotty, what do you say?
Yeah, I'm kind of in the middle, but definitely more on the Lola side. +2/+2 is pretty big, but it can get pretty clunky. Paying 3 as an initial investment cost, especially it's like really hard to develop this on turn 3, right? Like battles, especially if you drop this and your opponent drops a battle and kills the battle immediately, you've like lost the game immediately, almost. It kind of feels like it to me. Rough beats. Yeah, this is fine. I think this is a B.
By the way, Genesis said that he thinks that...
Fine. I'll move the C+.
Okay.
That's...
What did we even say to... I don't know. It's not like we...
No, C was spicy. I liked C.
That's interesting, yeah. Genesis said that this protection...
I think it's gonna be worse than a C+, rather than better than a C+, but C+ is fine.
I think it's never gonna be below B+. This is the biggest difference we have so far. Skittering Surveyor was a bit of a difference, but this one is huge. Genesis said that this protection is better than red-green last set. The thing is, these colorless Phyrexian creatures that a good amount of decks will have, like you cannot get protection from them, and plus maybe one other color.
Also, not gonna lie, black looks kind of bad in this set. So, and the red-green was the best, like the not the two best colors. I think white was the best color, but it was like the best deck probably in the last.
Yeah, best
set,
deck, definitely.
Or the second best. But it was like really good colors anyway to get protection from because they were played a lot. Who knows how blue and black will perform. I do like blue, but we'll get to that. I don't like black so much.
And how fast are we? We're just gonna take this amount of time we're gonna take for every color.